Our own little diamond, James Freedon, is here with us in this studio.
I was just thinking that would be way too heavy for anyone to wear as a ring.
The idea is you chip it
or
up
you
into
break
lots
it
of
up
different bits
and you can have
pieces.
loads of rings.
I don't know. I don't have that many diamonds, to be honest. All right. Now, let's start with some reactions to President Macron's speech today. He wants more European integration. He wants to really go on fast forward and get it all done. Never mind the sceptics, never mind the cynics. What kind of reaction has there been today? Faster
and deeper. First of all, the positive reactions, because there was a whole range. First of all, people tweeting because he kept them waiting. There was a bit of suspense, 30 minutes. So what do you do?
Becoming a theme, isn't
when you're waiting around, you take a photo of an empty stage, and that's what happened. Now, it was being closely watched by Eurocrats and European politicians and I suppose dignitaries everywhere. Jean-Claude Juncker saying that this is a very European speech from my friend Emmanuel Macron. Europe needs courage at this time, and thank you for your support, for the work of the European institutions, which of course are not necessarily very popular everywhere. So this support is valued by Jean-Claude Juncker. This is his head of cabinet, who's watching closely from his offices in Brussels. You can see the television screen being photographed there, saying Emmanuel Macron is right to say a strong currency is at the heart of a strong Europe, a strong current. So this was a defence of all things European in terms of the common money. He was speaking also about
he's kind of picking up the mantle from Angela Merkel, isn't he? Because she's got her own troubles at home now following that election. So now he's really being the pro-European leader.
Taking the lead, exactly. We'll get to some comments about the German Franco thing in a second. But here you have actually a German MP of Turkish origin in French saying the future of our country is in a united Europe and we need strong cooperation with Paris. And he said, excellent, President Macron. Another person here saying how to give a speech on Europe, whether you agree or not. Macron, Europe has ideas and vision versus Florence speech.
It's just Theresa May's speech.
Which I suppose that
we're not really into Europe.
Right. There you go. I mean, we could analyse that tweet, but we won't. Let's move on. Coming from a French president, this is courageous. Now, that's referring to,
what does that mean?
To his remarks on the common agricultural policy being reformed. Of course, the common agricultural policy is
a thorny issue here.
It is, because the French farmers, even though
beneficiaries.
They are the biggest beneficiaries of it, even though there'll be criticisms as well in France of the way agricultural policy is operated at a European level. But that takes courage from a French president, say some. And also he spoke, of course, about Europe needing a common intervention force, a common budget. Even I think he spoke about a common finance minister, common doctrine to act. This is all within 10 years. So it's pretty ambitious stuff. And of course, he did outline some of that during his campaign, so it's not all new. He even spoke about 20 or so European universities by 2024, where students would all speak at least 2 to 3 European languages. It's a very utopian vision of Europe being sort of, I suppose, very quickly federalised and brought together in different ways.
Well, this is the man who came out of nowhere to become the president of France, so who knows?
Everything's possible, according to...
Absolutely. A lot of people not happy, though, obviously.
Well, just a few elements.
Not just Brexiteers either.
No, well, you had people there in front of the Sorbonne demonstrating. Students, remember, this is in the midst of attempts at labour law reform, and that image not coming up there, but just trust me, there were lots of people in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder, does that not partly explain the delay? Now, a couple of more elements. Brussels, the Europe of Brussels is only wanted by elites, multinationals and bankers. So comments like that coming out on social media as well. Others saying a democratic Europe. What about referenda where, let's say, the rejection of European treaties in the past where the referenda were kind of discarded or put to a vote again? That's not very democratic. That's a frequent criticism of Europe. Now, but just to kind of move forward to some of the more positive elements coming from that speech as they were viewed, he spoke about Britain possibly rejoining a reformed and simplified EU. So this is post-Brexit, joining again in another kind of a Europe at a later stage. He spoke about a Europe at several speeds. It's not an altogether new idea. Nicolas Sarkozy spoke about that in the past as well. And Thomas Wieder here of Le Monde saying that Merkel mentioned the same idea in Malta in February. So this really is a nod to the fact that Macron and Merkel are essentially probably on the same page in this regard. Macron said that he is convinced that Merkel will respond to this extended hand, not with timidity, but with audacity and a sense of history. And indeed, we'll just finish with that image, which is Reuters. The Guardian had that, and I suppose that's certainly what he was trying to channel today at the Sorbonne.
And I think he pulled it off. James, thanks very much indeed. James Freedon there.